Films are made up of sequences. Sequences are made up of scenes. And scenes are made up of shots. But in this episode, we'll be going over what those movements are and the stories they tell. This is episode 6 of The Shot List. Camera movement. There are countless variations of camera movement, each with their own language and purpose. A filmmaker who understands this language can create dynamic and compelling work. We'll be examining different types of camera movements. Along the way, we'll be updating a shot list of these camera movements in a Studio Binder shot list, which you can download and reference in your upcoming projects. Now, let's get moving. Let's begin with the shot that has no camera movement at all. This is the static shot. Static shots are commonly captured by locking the camera to a tripod in a fixed position. The result is a shot with zero camera movement. This is great for dialogue.
What business is it of yours? Where I'm from? Friendo.
Precise painterly compositions.
Redmond, nice to see you.
Or shots that allow an actor's performance to shine.
Funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Sometimes filmmakers use static shots to trap a character and suggest their helplessness, like this moment from Dunkirk. Let's move on to our next camera movement. The pan. A pan rotates the camera horizontally, left or right, while remaining in a fixed location. Pans can be used to follow a character's actions, or be used to reveal information, which is something Wes Anderson does frequently.
Four minutes, 48 seconds. We're all dead. Burned to a crisp.
Moving on. A slow pan builds anticipation, while a rapid pan heightens the energy of a shot. These are known as whip pans. Director Damien Chazelle uses whip pans to create relationships between characters. In La La Land, he amps up the energy in the scene, while underscoring the growing synergy between Sebastian and Mia. He uses the same technique for a different effect in Whiplash, no pun intended. In the final scene, whip pans are precisely timed with the give and take of the music. Accenting the combative relationship between Andrew and Fletcher. To learn more about whip pans, check out our video where we break down how to use them to build energy and transition through time and space. Panning is ideal for horizontal movement. But what about the vertical axis? The tilt. A tilt directs the camera upward or downward. Filmmakers use tilts to capture the verticality of a film's world. Similar to a pan, a tilt can reveal information, like a character, setting, or scale.
Who are the people?
Projections of my subconscious.
Yours?
Yes.
In Inception, Ariadne tests how much of the dream world she can distort.
My question is, what happens when you start messing with the physics of it all?
Nolan tilts up to capture the awe and scale of this spectacular moment. The visceral effect of being on the street, looking upward at such a spectacle, is accentuated with a simple camera tilt.
Something, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Switching our attention from upward or downward, our next camera movement takes us inward. Push in. The push-in shot moves the camera towards a subject. Pushing the camera is all about emphasizing a moment.
Get our informers to find out where it's going to be held.
A visual cue to the audience that this is important.
Public place, a bar, a restaurant, some place where there's people so I feel safe. But if Clemenza can figure a way to have a weapon planted there for me, then I'll kill them both.
You can push in on an external detail such as an object or text. In doing so, filmmakers can direct our attention to a specific detail. Can capture a character's thought process. Like in this moment from The Post, when Ben comes to terms with exposing the infamous Pentagon Papers. A push-in is an effective way to communicate internal conflict, like in the iconic restaurant scene in The Godfather. Michael Corleone is about to kill the man who tried to kill his father.
Tu padre sta male.
It will be a life-changing decision, a point of no return into the underworld.
E mettiamo tutto a posto.
A slow push-in towards Michael elevates the tension as we watch him wrestle with the consequences and gathering the courage to pull the trigger. Which leads us to our next camera movement. The opposite of the push-in is the pull-out. Unlike pushing in, pulling the camera de-emphasizes the subject. A sort of signal to disconnect from the characters. It can unveil the context of a scene, its setting, or its characters. As subjects grow smaller, a pull-out can detach us from a scene, or the entire film. Like in the final shot from Catch Me If You Can. The same movement can also emphasize negative emotions like isolation or abandonment. In this scene from Joker, we see Arthur at his most vulnerable. This camera movement away from him highlights his helplessness. And rather than push in to help us sympathize with Arthur, director Todd Phillips pulls away, abandoning him. Our next movement directs our attention without moving the camera at all. Enter the zoom. A zoom may not be a camera movement per se, but there is movement created in camera. Zoom shots change the focal length of a camera's lens to zoom in or zoom out. Similar to pulling back a camera, zooming out can reveal the context around a subject. Like this opening shot from The Graduate. Zooms are unique because there is no equivalent in the human experience. Like a push-in, we can physically move closer to a subject, but our eyes can't zoom, making this camera movement unnatural.
Shouldn't we give them the authorities or something?
No.
it can also draw our attention to a specific detail. Many horror or thriller films use a slow zoom to create uneasiness.
You said she's a conduit.
That's right.
What does that mean?
Well, very powerful demonic has latched itself onto her.
And Stanley Kubrick is the master of this technique. This iconic shot from The Shining slowly zooms in to highlight Jack's descent into madness. The use of a zoom doesn't stop there. A fast zoom is known as a crash zoom. Crash zooms can often be used for either dramatic or comedic effect.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
In Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino uses the crash zoom repeatedly. For comedy,
this seems like a good bit of fun.
Or both.